brothers. We're happy and we're singing and we're colored. Give me a high five.
What's going on, you guys? Your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, here with another big game, James, and it is the best of part of the best of enemies. Right now we're gonna actually work together, go over this draft class, go over this off season, and everything situated. But what's going on, James? How you doing, bro?
Another day, another dollar. You know what I'm saying? Back to make a holla. Draft season's finally here. This is how we started out before we really went into the season. So the draft season's back here. So we're here in part two. You're actually doing some amazing things. About to go to that combine, credentialed up, baby. Can't wait to get the cowboy gonna have them things hanging around his neck, walking out there with his chest all out. That's what I'm talking about, dog. Go ahead and get that, big dog. I'm excited for you. So make sure you get good coverage and don't be greedy. You ain't got to do all Philadelphia. You can look at some Cowboys prospects for me
Oh
too as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, you already know. I'm gonna definitely be looking at everybody because one thing I will say that I've learned over these past couple years is that you, everything that you think is gonna happen is probably gonna be the exact opposite, right? Sometimes we get lucky. Last year we hit a couple of good prospects, but still couldn't pick teams, right? It's like you can kind of tell what these prospects are gonna be, but you never know what the teams in themselves are gonna be looking for. I'm excited. I'm excited to get out there and just kind of see it from a different angle. Like, I've always been told like seeing them in person is just a little bit different. We'll see. Yeah, I'm saying it's a lot of people in, ball shorts and chilling out and, easy situational things, but it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a fun experience. I'm excited for it. But I mean, look, there's a lot of things happening in Philadelphia as far as rumors and what the Eagles have to do with their, roster, and I'm sure it's the same way in Dallas. So I'll start here. I know, a lot of Cowboys fans have brought this up to me. A lot of NFL fans have brought this up to me. The Eagles have a lot of players that they have to re-sign. I went over like the top 10 list, and all of them, it felt like in a way or another, were important. So we have a lot of decisions to make. Obviously, we don't have the defensive coordinator just yet. Vance Joseph, who seemed like he was leading the candidacy, goes back to Denver. There's a lot of unknown for the Philadelphia Eagles right now, to be honest. What's happening over there in Dallas? Because I do see a lot of rumors. Obviously, Bobby Wagner just was released. What are your thoughts on that? Is that a guy you think Dallas can bring? What's happening over in Dallas, and what's the mindset over there?
We'll see. We just got a couple new coaches. I don't exactly know their names. I've seen them. They added a new quarterbacks coach, Tolazine, Jim Tolazine, I believe. He used to play for Wisconsin. I believe I watched him. They elevated the line coach to a running back coach. So they added a few of those things. I know Bobby Wagner was released. I don't know where the Cowboys playing that. It always comes down with numbers. If you know what Cowboys free agency, it's all about the numbers. It's all about money. He made some money over there in LA, so maybe he doesn't come as hard with the salary, and maybe that could be a workable thing, especially with Dan Quinn there. So that could be an interest. But older players, they tend to want to either get paid or play with a team that they feel like almost guarantees going to get them to a Super Bowl. That's why they sign with those teams. I'm sure that's why I signed with the Rams, because they went to the Super Bowl last year. But we saw they fell short. So I don't know where there's to play with that. Dallas has some young linebackers and they like to stay young. They can re-sign LVE. We'll see what happens with that. But I think right now the Cowboys are heavily invested in the draft. That's where they put all their chips in the draft. They're not a big player in free agency, so the draft is very, very, very premium with the Cowboys. They get compensatory picks because they like to let the contracts run out on the players so they can go ahead and get the compensatory picks, added picks, and so they can possibly add more players because they don't will and deal those picks. We've seen it time and time again where we would love for them to will and deal some picks, maybe move up, maybe get dangerous, maybe do some things like that, but they tend to stay pat. So we're as Cowboys fans, we're really excited about the draft because that's what we put all our marbles in.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Eagles, I think this year we have, I want to say six picks. We might have five. It's either five or six picks. Obviously have the two first round picks. It's going to be interesting to see what the Eagles want to do. I feel like every year the Eagles and Cowboys are kind of playing this like juxtaposition of like you guys are trying to shore up one side of the ball, we're trying to shore up the other. I feel like this year your defense might be, what's gonna be consistent next year. Maybe trying to retool that offense is what you guys look at. But with the Eagles, we gotta retool this defense, figure out what we're gonna do, and not having a defensive coordinator it kind of gives you that like blank slate. It gives you that clean canvas where you can be really whatever you want to be as a defense. So it's going to be fun to watch because Vance Joseph was not a Jonathan Gannon at all. Jonathan Gannon, the one thing that we really as Eagles fans complained about the most with him is that he didn't blitz. He wasn't really exotic. He didn't really make adjustments. I think you can say the opposite for all of those things when it came to Vance Joseph. So it's already interesting to see how wide of a net the Eagles are casting, but it's going to be intriguing to see who they actually go ahead and pick if it's just an in-house guy and we're kind of running the same thing that we did last year. And eh, there's so many free agents on that defensive side. So I know that the Eagles fans are bringing up Bobby Wagner as well, bringing him to Philly. There's talks about us with Dalvin Cook. There's talks about I don't understand why, but I think we're going to play it smart this year because you brought up the compensatory picks. I can't say the word, but you brought up those picks. You look at this Eagles defense, you look at this Eagles team in general, this roster this year, there's going to be a lot of turnover and a lot of good players, right? So a lot of these guys that are going to be priced out, we probably are going to be getting pretty good compensatory picks next year. So I wouldn't be surprised if Howie Roseman is wheeling and dealing with that in the back of his mind this offseason. So it's going to be fun. I think. How do you look at this draft? Because I know, you've probably already done a lot of research into this draft. I know I've been doing some research into the draft, and to me, it feels like there's maybe not the big class or like the big, bunch of can't miss prospects in the first round, but I do believe that there's a lot of good players throughout this draft. How do you look at this draft? How do you feel about this draft so far?
I feel like this draft doesn't have the star power, like you said, like the last few years. There was a lot of prospects the last few years, receivers, edge players. There's just a lot of guys that jumped right out at you that could come in and turn up right now. We saw Sauce Gardner, multiple players come in and really be effective. Not saying that this class doesn't have that, but it just doesn't feel like it has that wow guy. I don't feel like there's just that one guy that's at the top of the list that's wow, just wowing you. There's some really good players. So I feel like, especially with the receivers, receivers have been really good the last 2 or 3 years, especially in the draft. A lot of good receivers have come out this year. It's not a lot of the big star power with the receivers, a lot of smallish receivers. But I think it's a solid draft because there's a lot of cornerbacks in there. You can really rack up in cornerbacks this year. Running backs is really good this year. And, running back has been nobody talks about running backs anymore, but we've seen just with the Kansas City Chiefs with that Pacheco kid, seventh round draft pick, and he looked really, really good. And that gives more credence to you don't have to draft a running back high. You just got a guy on the super in playing in the Super Bowl, and guess what? He was running hard. He was wrecking shop out there, and he was a 7th round draft pick. So a lot of good running backs, edge guys. So I think it's depth, quality depth, but just not a lot of star power. But looks like you can get guys all the way through 1 through 7 to really kind of help your team. It doesn't have to be a lot of the star power, but as long as you get good quality players, I think that's what you really want in your team. And I think this is what this draft offers.
Yeah, and I think this is a good draft, kind of keep it on the squad. I think this is a good draft for the Eagles. This is the type of draft they honestly needed. A lot of good defensive players, especially in that secondary. There's probably 5 or 6 guys that people are fighting over as, those guys that are going to go in the first round. Like you said, offensively, not really the guys that you're used to. There's not really that one wide receiver that really stands out. Not even really that one offensive lineman that stands out to you, at least in my opinion. Not just I feel like there's a lot of good offensive linemen, but not that one star. Yeah, I know Paris sounds like he's kind of leaping over the rest of them. We'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens with that. But this is what the Eagles need. The Eagles need like a solid, deep draft. And we will get into a quick 4 round draft But I just wanted to, chop it up. We didn't get to chop it up last week. I was in my bag. You know what I'm saying? I was in my feelings because the Eagles lost, and I had to take a little week off, get ready for this. But we here. And then Rev says, "How do you feel about the Eric Bieniemy in Washington, Joe?" That's a great question. I want to know how you feel too. I mean, me personally, it's crazy because I like Ron Rivera. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I've always liked Ron Rivera just as a person. Like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, he's the greatest coach, but I just like his story. I like what he's done as a coach and just who he is. And then you add an Eric Bieniemy, who I feel like maybe has gotten shafted here and there for jobs. I really don't know what happens behind the scenes, but it sounds like a lot of people think he should be a head coach. He hasn't. So it seems like a lot of underdog, and obviously Bieniemy has been a part of some of the best offenses in the league for the past couple years. So I think it could be interesting, but I've also heard that they're going with Sam Howell, like that's their guy. So it's going to take at least, in my opinion. I don't think that they're going to, make some crazy turnaround like the Giants did with their team. I think they're still like a year or two out. How do you feel about that, though?
I mean, I'm glad to finally see him get an opportunity, to move on, possibly get a head coaching job. Excuse me. As far as Ron Rivera, uh, I, I would say I don't hate on Ron Rivera. I think he's a good story, but as far as a coach, I don't really think he's all that as a coach. I think he's a
No, I
great
agree.
defensive coordinator. I think that's what he really brings to the table. But I wish Eric Bieniemy well. If you want me to be totally honest with you, I don't fear Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy came over to Washington. Now they're going to be good, and I don't feel that at all. Not at all. I don't fear nothing about the Washington, whatever the hell the last name is, Commanders. I don't fear anything about Washington. I don't fear their head coach. I don't fear their offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, and I'm not worried about the Washington football team, no matter what they say. They have to prove a lot to me, in my opinion, and I'm not going to go ahead and start crowning them just because they got Eric Bieniemy over there. They have a lot of issues that they need to solve. So Washington, to me, still is a team of Washington. So I really ain't really trying to. I don't. Washington's still Washington to me, even with Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I think at best it's going to still take them a year, especially if they're going with Sam Howell. If they figure something out this offseason and like Aaron Rodgers ends up out there or Lamar Jackson ends up out there, maybe we're having a different conversation, maybe more so with Aaron Rodgers. But even then, they got a lot of things to work on. I mean, their defense is not all the way there. They've been, I don't know, if they got a quarterback, maybe we would have a different conversation. I will say
Even
that.
if they
I
had a
will say that.
quarterback, I just feel like they're dysfunction. All that stuff that's happening over there with Daniel Snyder, that can't be. People can't just sweep that under the rug. I don't know
No,
why
facts.
people, just think that your football team can be good when you have those type of distractions going on with your owner, and that has been going on for years. I don't feel like your team just overcomes that, and until that really gets solved, excuse me, in my opinion, I feel like it's still going to be the same thing going on over there. There's going to be a cloud over there. They can play all the rap songs and fight songs that they got and all that good stuff over there, but that's not going to matter. It's the same way with the Cowboys and with the front office in certain aspects. When your front office is doing goofy things, it puts a cloud over the team. And when teams fails in certain ways, I feel like those type of issues happen. So those type of issues need to be solved over there in Washington. That's why I'm not taking them serious. As long as Daniel Snyder is in power doing those same things over there, I don't take the Washington Commanders serious at all, no matter what they do, as long as Daniel Snyder is doing those same things over there. I'm sorry.
I respect that. I agree. I ain't gonna cap. I agree. Now, I want to ask you a question because you've obviously seen the Cowboys, hire former players as coaches and stuff like that, and you've seen probably the good and the bad of it. You've probably seen, both sides of it. The Eagles fan base are like high on having Seth Joyner, who is a former linebacker for us. I'm sure you've seen him play, but he's a former linebacker for us. He said that he would be a defensive coordinator. He would be a linebackers coach, never coached. But I want to ask you, what do you think is the like a negative and positive side to having former players coaching? Because I don't think the Eagles, outside of like Deuce Staley, we haven't really done that much. At least in my, in my off the top of my head. But what do you think is the negative and positive of having a former player come back as a coach?
I think the positive is because he's been in, especially if he comes back to the team that he played for. It's a positive because he's already has a connection. There's already you already have a feel for the players. You played for the city, especially if you're kind of a dog like a Deuce Staley. I think you can automatically get kind of a respect factor because you put in the work there. So players are automatically going to give you some type of respect, and so I think that's a definite positive right there. You can be the player's coach because you've been there. You're not just a guy who's just been coaching all his life and never really seen the field all like that. But you just coach, coach, coach. Players, tend to think, you don't know what the hell you're talking about because you ain't been playing all like that. So I really ain't gonna listen to y'all like that. I mean, players do that. So I think that's always a good thing when you have a former player coming down to the ranks and being a coach, and they feel like they'll be able to be in more of a reality touch. When you're talking to the players, it's going to be a more of an understanding because I've done this. I've been there, I've done that, and I think there's just the easiness of I can talk to you. I can come to you because you've been there. You understand what I'm going through right now because you played this game. So I think that's a good thing. I'll say the bad thing is I think some players, like let's say top players, I feel like a top player coming back, I think sometimes that's a detriment because then they think they're a know-it-all.
Yeah.
You can't. I'm gonna tell you this because I played at a high level and I did this. So you need to do it this way. That may not always be the right way, but because you did it back then, they might always think that this way is going to be the right way because when I did it, it was so successful. I made all these records, and that this is a new age. So I think sometimes the gap of the age of as far as especially if they're a little bit older of this is how we used to do it. Well, the players are different, so I think they always got to be adapting. No matter if you were a player back in the day, you always got to be adapting to hear what the players are saying. So I think that could be a detriment of thinking they know it all. um I don't know. I would say that would be one of the biggest things as far as a negative to me. But I would always love to play for a former player. But like I said, I think the best coaches always aren't always the best players. You get what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's what I've noticed, Joe. A lot of the really good coaches aren't the best players. And I think, when you get a player who was, okay or anything like that, that's a really good. I think when the higher the players get up, I think that's when they need to kind of stay with for coaching because their ego gets involved. And when their ego gets involved, it messes everything up. So I think ego is a bad thing with former coaches because they'll let their ego take over and kind of just negate the player because of ego. So I think ego will be another thing as well.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think, especially when you were talking about kind of the old school mentality, a lot of people, and it rings very true for the Eagles fan base right now. Like the Eagles fans were, I don't want to say where, because I'm not one of them, but, a lot of Eagles fans are talking about, the Buddy Ryan days, going back to when we had this guy, when we had that guy. And that's just not what the NFL is anymore. Like it really isn't. So I agree. You have to be able to kind of ride the fence. If you look at what, Deion Sanders is kind of being able to do, he's being a mentor, he's being a teacher. You know what I'm saying? He's not saying this is what I did, so this is what you have to do. He's just being a mentor and teaching them the game as it's being, played. So I think that's very, very true. And I think that's a big thing for people to hear because it isn't the game that it used to be, and it's not going to be the game that it used to be ever again. It just is what it is. The NFL is forever going to be changing. So we'll see what happens. So before we get into this draft, we're gonna do 4 rounds.
Mhm.
What is the mindset? I guess You're gonna play Catboy. I know you don't like him much, but whoever whoever is your GM or whatever who's gonna make these decisions. What is the mindset going into this draft? Obviously, we don't know anything about free agency as of yet, but what is your mindset going into this draft?
Well, this will be my mindset. I'm trying to stay in the mindset of the Joneses. I don't never try to draft whenever we try to do any kind of drafts. I don't never try to draft out of my own preferences, my own likes. I try to draft how they do it, how they think, how what's going on in their thought pattern. Because when you start drafting how you like, all your picks damn near going to be a miss because you're just going on your own feelings and you got to go on what they're thinking. You know what I'm saying? So if I was thinking, just me and my perspective, I think they would agree with this. I said 4 spots that really need to be addressed for the Cowboys are offensive line, receiver, cornerback, and defensive end. Defensive tackle, yes, but I really think they need to attack that in free agency. But, I think they would go after it, but I don't think they would go out as a high pick unless it was a top can't miss guy, maybe. But I think that would be the mindset to really replenish those four areas. We don't know what's going on with Tyron Smith. He had injuries again. Zach Martin is older. Tyler Biadish's contract is coming up. Connor McGovern was, good at left guard, but he probably could be replaced. Terrence Steele is coming off ACL surgery. So your right tackle, he is, but when is he going to be ready for camp? You feel good at your left tackle because that was your rookie from last year, Tyler Smith. So you feel like that's solidified. You feel like you're good. Look at Biadish, but you got a Matt Farah not coming back, and you got Matt Walesko. Those are both Walesko's from a small school that had high hopes for him. But right now, you still look at you need some depth along that line and maybe a starter or two. So offensive line and then defensive end, as I said, we had Sam Williams. We drafted in the second round. I think he'll get a lot more tick this next year. But beyond that, you lost a Tat McKinley. I don't think he's coming back. Terrell Basham, you let him go. Golston, who was one of our outside guys, he moved him inside, I think. DeMarcus Lawrence, he probably only has a couple more years left. Osa Ogadazua, he's more of your inside guy. So you're looking at Dante Fowler. He's a free agent. So you need a defensive end. You always got to have defensive ends and young ones. So that's a thing. Obviously, we talked about the number 2 receiver. Remember, we talked about how CeeDee Lamb had one of the highest, targets in the NFL this past season. So you need a number 2. You got Jalen Tolbert, who was your rookie last year. You feel good about him coming back next year. You like to see Michael Gallup after a full year of that ACL. He should be better. But you still want to get a receiver in the draft. So explosiveness, that's what you want to probably attack. And then at the cornerback position, Trevin Diggs, his contract is up. You can extend him now, but he's going to cost some money. We don't know if you're really going to re-sign him. On your opposite side, your 5th-round draft pick, Deron Bland, you felt good about him. 5 interceptions, he looked good. But still, you got to prove it another year, right? We've seen rookies do that one year and then fall off the face of the earth the next year. So he still got to do it. Kelvin Joseph, your 2nd-round pick, he's in his 3rd year. He may get cut. Nashawn Wright, your 3rd-round draft pick, he just saw action at the end of the year. And Anthony Brown, who was your starter, tore his knee up. He's out of a contract. Do you re-sign him? Jordan Lewis, you'll probably cut him. Israel Mukamu, he plays safety and corner. You flexed him at corner this year. So every one of those positions I mentioned, you need some depth along those lines or a possible starter. So I would say those 4 positions, in my opinion, were things that I would say the Cowboys need to look at and attack, and I think they will.
That sounds like a lot of people, man. Everybody keep telling me the Eagles got all these people to worry about. Damn, that's a lot of people.
Hey, every year, man, it's really, if you keep it real, Joe, let's keep it real. In this day and age of free agency, you're really only going to have really 2 years of your same team. I would say maybe 2 years. If that.
Yeah, if that.
If that. Because people are coming up in contracts every year, every other year. You feel me? So you're really not really going to have your team the way you want intact. That's why you see people putting all their chips in, right? That's why people are going all in each year, because you're not keeping those teams like back in the 80s. You just said it. We just agreed. It's not the 80s. It's not the 90s anymore. Free agency is huge, and these guys are leaving and going. So you're not going to have your team. So that's why a lot of people go all in 1 year, because you may not see that be a whole different dynamic the next year.
Facts. Yeah. It's interesting. I can't wait for this offseason. I think there's going to be a very, very it's going to be like a fight. I feel like a lot of teams aren't going to use that franchise tag, and a lot of people are expecting them to. And I think there's going to be a lot of big names out on the free agency market. So, and to answer my own question, as an Eagles fan, and looking at it from the Howie lens, there are things that kind of there are things that mesh. Don't get me wrong. I think that Eagles fans and the organization have some things that we agree on. But I think that the Eagles fans want a running back in the 1st round. That's not going to happen. I think that there's, probably a couple cornerbacks that they think might go at number 10. I think the Eagles would probably move back a little bit.
Will y'all resign? Is Miles Sanders? Is he gone?
Not
think
yet.
he's going?
Nah. Well, yeah, he's not going. He. I don't think he's getting re-signed. No, I don't think he's getting re-signed. But
Okay.
which we'll get to that today because I am gonna probably try and figure out a running back position in the top 4 rounds because everybody keeps telling me we have to take a running. Literally every time I drop a mock draft, it's like, where's the running back? Why didn't you take Bijan? Why didn't you take Bijan? And that's the only person they ever bring up. There's like 5 or 6 good running backs in this draft that could literally, in my opinion, start day one. But it's always Bijan. Where's Bijan? Why you ain't pick Bijan? Bijan was there. Was Bijan there? Like, damn, bro, y'all making me hate Bijan. I ain't gonna.
I mean, I'm gonna keep it real. He looks really good, but I'm gonna keep it real. I'm not. I'm not gambling a number 10 pick on a running back. I'm not
not at all.
I'm not gambling something like that because you don't need to. There's a lot of good running backs this year in this draft, a lot of good running backs. And as I said before, we see time and time again, guys being picked in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds and coming in and doing work. I mean, there was a lot of running backs this past year that weren't drafted in the 1st or 2nd and 3rd. They were in the 3rds and 4ths, and they had very productive seasons. So, that's what's going to kind of stay prevalent. And, Bijan, nobody's doubting saying he's a very good running back. But I don't know if he's like an all-world guy, can't miss guy, all that guy. I don't know about all that. And if you guess wrong on a running back, that's gonna set you back.
That's gonna hurt for a while.
That's gonna hurt.
Especially at number 10. I don't even know if I'm taking him at number 30. If I'm being 100% honest with you, just because of the positional value at that pick. Like the Eagles can fill positions that we need to. The Eagles have spots they got to fill. But shout out to everybody in the chat. We got 85 people between both chats, man. Be sure to hit that like button.
Share. You can hit some donations too if you like.
Yeah, hey, we ain't holding you back. But you ready to get into this?
Let's get into it. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I don't know about Joe, but I'm still getting my feet wet with it. We're doing a draft after this, so I'll still get my feet wet. So don't crucify me, y'all. If y'all like, what the hell was that big game? Hey, this is only February 23rd, y'all. Calm down.
I will say, I think that this is more fun. There we go. I like that. Maybe we'll do that. We'll see how it works. But I think this is fun because it sometimes it makes me just pick players that I want to look at, and I'm like, oh, who's this guy? Let me figure this guy out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're just gonna have some fun with it. So I picked you guys. I picked the Eagles, and I did 4 rounds. We're gonna go through it fast. We'll go through it a little bit slower. Why not? We'll talk. That's not that slow, but it is. All right, so we're gonna go ahead.
Make it super slow.
Yeah, I ain't trying to make it too slow. We're gonna be sitting here for hours. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
We're gonna start this thing off. Chicago Bears are probably the most interesting team because they hold the key to this draft. Can everybody see it good? Or should I just so everybody
wow. So are y'all at the 10th pick already?
Yeah, so hold on. Let me do it like this.
Yeah, let's see. There we go. I can see it.
Better. Now y'all can see me. We're gonna figure out which one's the best.
Yeah, probably right there.
I think
that's the best right there.
Perfect. All right, cool. So everybody can see it. Let me know in the I can see it. I have my phone, so y'all ain't gonna troll me. All right, so
yeah, I can see it.
Will Anderson.
No.
First. It's gonna be interesting. See, Jalen Carter fell. I wanted Jalen Carter to fall to me because I put up a draft.
He wasn't falling no damn 10.
He wouldn't, but it happens in these mock drafts. And if it happens in real life, Howie Roseman better pull that trigger. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. So let me do I talk a little bit too much spiel real quick. At number 10, I think this is probably one of the better options for the Eagles. If you have 3 quarterbacks going off in the first, if you have 3 quarterbacks in the top 10, you're going to be sitting here and you're going to be able to make a decision because I like Christian Gonzalez. I like Kalijah Kancey at this spot. I like Brian Brees. I like Joey Porter. I like Miles V. Like you can make a good decision here. And I think it's a little bit tough to, really miss. There's some good players on the board. I'm not taking a wide receiver. I don't know why this says one of our main needs is wide receiver. I got to talk to Sam or something like that because that makes no sense. I'm going to say this. I think that Luke Van Ness is a very interesting prospect.
Oh, you going that high with him?
I'm not. I want to say
Okay.
I think he's a very, very, very interesting prospect. And maybe next week, maybe after I go to the combine, if he's out there and I get to see him in person, it might change my mind because I do like a lot of what I see. He's very raw. There's not a lot to him. But I'm gonna go with Christian Gonzalez. I think Christian Gonzalez is the best cornerback in this draft.
That's my guy.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you, bro. I jump out on ledges sometimes, and I said from jump that I did not think Kaylee Ringo was as highly touted as everybody was making him out to be. I thought Christian Gonzalez was that dude, and it's nice to see that I'm right. Devin Witherspoon seems like a guy that is high on everybody's board, which he's really good as well. But I really like Christian Gonzalez. I think the ceiling is crazy high for him, and I think it is really, really good for him. So I think pick. Now you guys are up.
All right, go to defensive tackles right quick.
Got you. That is kind of where I would love the Eagles to go because I do like Brian Brees. I do like.
Oh, I'm getting big boy. I'm getting the big boy right there from Baylor.
Talk to me about him. What do you know about him? Because I was actually seeing
his
name.
I don't know a crazy amount about him. I watched a little bit of tape, but we need a Haloti Nada. We need a Haloti Nada type guy. He's the 6'4", the 350s. He's had 33 pressures this past season. He went crazy. We need trench work, and I want to get a Deron Payne, but now I'm hearing Washington may franchise tag him. I know Dallas ain't going to go out there and really spend no money on a defensive tackle. We need it really in free agency to really make it happen now. But since he's on the board right now, I cannot let him pass. I'm going with him as our first pick. He's a difference maker as far as he's going to hold the double team. He's going to push that pocket. And the thing about him is he can pressure. Most of those big boys like that, they just hold the pocket, right? You just see him in the run game and they just hold the pocket. No, the guy like this, he can actually pass rush. He can actually get you pressures. And that's when I like somebody, a Vita Vea type. We needed that. So I'm going right there. So hopefully y'all Cowboys, y'all
358. That boy 358.
You feel me?
I like that pick.
You feel me?
That's a good pick.
Gotta go.
That's a good. And these boys are built different now. 358 don't move like it used to.
Exactly.
Moving nowadays. All right, so I know Eagles fans. I won't say my chat. My chat seems pretty. They seem pretty smart right now. I like it. And I'm cool with it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm probably an Eagles fan right now at home yelling, "Why is he not taking Bajan?" I said positional value. You look at who's on here. I love Antonio Johnson. That's what I'm gonna go with. But I would love Mozzie Smith. I wouldn't mind a BJ or Lowry. DeJuan Jones is somebody that's very interesting to me, but more in the second round. I actually know him, but he's a very interesting guy. Huge, little boy is big. Emmanuel Forbes is a guy that makes sense. You don't get a cornerback in the beginning of this. Not really. I mean, Jamar Gibbs is a guy that I would love for him to be there at my second round pick. So I'm gonna go with Eli Ricks is a guy I'm high on as well. Jack Campbell, just not first round.
And I'm gonna say this: a lot of my Cowboys fans are like, they're not gonna draft a defensive tackle that high. I feel y'all. Understand this. I'm not stupid. I understand how the Cowboys work. But maybe, just maybe, because you have Dan Quinn and he has a heavy influence on the team. Okay, that's what I might look at, because guess what? That defense won our San Francisco game. Our offense failed us, right? Our defense has been dope the last 2 years. Dan Quinn came back after he was being courted again, right? So I think Dan Quinn has a little bit of pull in Dallas, and Dan Quinn likes to get defensive tackles. So maybe, just maybe, Dan Quinn has some influence. If you got a guy like that, that's 6'4", 358 pounds, and what he does, I think he may have influence to say, let's pull the trigger. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do that.
That'll be an interesting pick. I mean, I feel like you look at especially look at the Eagles, and it's very obvious. You need somebody that can love the defensive line, So I think it's a smart pick. Now, I am going to take Antonio Johnson. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, but honestly, I want Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back. I want him back very, very much so. I am a high proponent on bringing him back. Antonio Johnson gives me so many shades of him, and just the hard hitting, the versatility that he has. He has played a lot in the slot. He's played on the outside. He's played, up high. So he's played a lot in the box as well. It feels like he's never really targeted in the passing game on a lot of the tape I saw, but just the hard hitting, the ability to play in the box, I think that he allows either Marcus Epps to step back and you still have a guy like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, or you allow Antonio Johnson or Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to stay back play, and you just have versatility. So I'm all about this pick. Antonio Johnson would make tons of sense to me, in my opinion. Some people are saying that's Jordan Davis 2.0. Hey, I mean, Jordan Davis, hopefully he does good this year. All right, you guys are back up on the board.
Let's go to receiver.
I'm glad you're going there. I'm glad you're going there because I already got my eye on who I want. Ooh, I think I know who you're going to take.
Yeah. Now, go to corner right quick.
You looking at Hyatt?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I figured. Ooh, okay. Ringo, the fall from grace is crazy, bro. People were
is that my corners?
Yeah. Well, this is both. This is corners and wide
receivers. Just go specifically corner for me right quick.
Gotcha. Boom. I love Eli. I like Eli Rex a lot.
Scroll down a little bit. Scroll down for me.
Gotcha.
All right, go up, go up, go up, go up, go up. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm going with Jalen Hyatt. I'm sorry, I wasn't gonna touch Jalen Hyatt in the first round because that's bust. But second round, I feel better. I know he's not a finished product. I know he just went deep, but that speed is just too crazy. I gotta go with it. I had my eyes on a few other things that next round, but I just can't let that speed pass. I know he's maybe be a work in progress. As I said before, might not know the full route tree. But when you got Michael Gallup coming back, right, and he should be fully healthy, right, and then you got a Jalen Tolbert who you brought, who was your rookie last year, and you feel good about him. You still got CeeDee Lamb. Why not add a 6'2" guy with legit 4.2, 4.3 speed to really extend that defense? You don't have anybody that can really do that. I need to go ahead and get that. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump out there and do that.
Respect that. I respect that. Jalen Hyatt.
I know Banks is going to piss me off. That's my guy, Deontay Banks from Maryland.
All right, now. Okay, I honestly, this is where if I was the Eagles, I would look for running back. I think either running back or linebacker because I like Eli Rex. I wouldn't even be mad if they doubled down there. Joe Tippmann, I realistically, I'm 100% honest while we're on here. I have not done enough research on interior offensive line to really
neither
say
have I.
anything. So I don't want to pick them just because we need this position and I can't tell you nothing about him. I will say Zach Cabernet. I hope I'm saying his name correct.
Yeah, he's.
I like him a lot. He's got the size. Good. He's got the speed. He's got a little bit of everything. He's kind of like a faster Jordan Howard, in my opinion. And I'm all about a Jordan Howard coming back for the Eagles. I like Jack Campbell a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you. I really do like him. And we might need a linebacker. I know a lot of Cowboys fans been talking about Devin Achane. I can't say his last name. I don't like him for us. I think we have that in a Kenny Gainwell. I get what you guys like about him. He's explosive. He's fast. He's twitchy. But I think we have what he would bring in house already. So I'm going to hopefully make some of my subscribers happy here. And I'm going to take Zach Cabernet. I think I'm saying that right. Just like I said, man, that size behind our offensive line would be scary hours. Scary hours. Right back to that number one offense. You know what I'm saying?
Am I back on the clock?
You are on the clock.
Ooh-wee.
Good players here. You guys can replace your quarterback. You got Hendon
Yeah,
Hooker right
whatever.
there.
And we already brought in Hooker, but I think Hooker might last a little more. Let's go to running backs.
Okay.
People probably get mad at me and say I should have got a corner by now.
All right, so it's Charbonnet is what Dank says. Appreciate you. I appreciate you. All right, we in the running backs. I like Roshan. Roshan Johnson, I actually by mistake kind of watched a lot of his tape, but
So did a chain get taken?
like it.
Damn. Mm. Now I like Sean Tucker as well. 3rd round. Ooh, I don't know if I want 3rd round though. I don't know if I want 3rd round. Go to my let's go to Tajay Spears. He's pretty good. Kendrick Miller. Go to corner again. I need an edge guy too, man. I'm not really up on my edges.
I think once you get out the 3rd round, you kind of just hoping for an athletic guy that can grow. That's really good. I don't know me right now, but that's kind of how I feel about it.
I don't know if they would do a Clark Phillips in that 3rd round because he's kind of smallish. Let's look at edges right quick.
Riley Moss is somebody I think is interesting. You said look at the what was it? Edge?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Samuel with the super chat reminding me about I shouldn't have said scary hours because he had to bring up Nets. But he said scary hours, you still rocking with Harder. Don't bring that up. I was having a good week. All right, here's your edge. Byron Young, I like Byron Young.
See, I'm not all up on my edges. I need to get better on my edges. I'm gonna be studying them this week. So forgive me, y'all. Y'all probably be like, man, you should have got him. And I still haven't taken a receiver. Did we go to receivers yet?
Yeah, I got Jalen Hyatt.
Okay, I got Jalen Hyatt. I got defensive tackle. I got my receiver. I'm not up on my O lineman. I apologize. I probably should be up on that right now.
I'm with you there.
You feel
me?
me?
We'll know next week.
We'll know next week. This is just one of these off the top mock drafts.
Exactly. It's the bar. You know what I'm saying? We had to set the barometer. You know what I'm saying? And now we go up from here.
I'm gonna go ahead and be a little dangerous because I seen that kid Clark Phillips. Do I want him in the 3rd though? Do I want him in the 3rd? I'm gonna go ahead and take This is tough right here, dog. I'm gonna go with Clark Phillips the 3rd. I'm going with the cornerback. I know people are gonna probably crucify me. Go ahead. This is just the beginning, y'all. This ain't the final. Damn, it's gonna get better.
They took Drew. I was geeking inside. I was like, oh, I'm about to get Drew Sanders. I got a whole spiel I'm about to say about this man. Whatever. All right. I guess I'm not gonna do that. Dorian Williams, I like him. I'm not gonna lie. Ivan Pace is all right. Tucker Croft is somebody that could be interesting for the Eagles just because we do probably want somebody that's going to be a little bit more productive behind God, but I don't think it's a necessarily a need. Jair Brown is an interesting guy, but again, I think this is a little bit too early. Byron Young is an interesting guy. He's a kind of a big body as well. Strong dude. Zach Pickens is a guy that I've heard a lot of good things of. I haven't really watched too much of. Andrew Voorhees, who doesn't like that last name? I'm with Jacqueline Roy. We need a guy on this. If I'm not mistaken, this is the guy that's a little bit smaller. No, he's 6'4". Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he was smaller because I kept on hearing how he's a guy that can kind of go side and out. How he's this versatile guy. I haven't watched too much tape on him, but from what I've heard about him, he sounds like a guy that Eagles need, because we do need that. Milton Williams, a guy that can play on your inside, play on the outside, give you kind of different type of looks. So I'm going to go with Jacqueline Roy. I think that's an interesting prospect for this defense. I think he would do well for us. So we'll go with that.
All right, this is where I'm gonna probably attack one position right here.
This is it. I think your last pick.
Yep, this is my last pick. These are the best available right here.
Yes, sir.
Ooh. This is where I'm gonna go with the running back. Go. Let's go to running backs. I think Zach Evans from
Mississippi.
But let's go to all the running backs right quick. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pick Zach Evans in this round right here.
But shout out to Cameron Peoples. That's my homie. So just know, I would have taken you if this was a 7th round mock draft. Cam, I would have took you, dog. I promise you. So Zach Evans from Mississippi. I think, and that concludes it. Oh, they graded too. I forgot PFF does.
Oh, let's see.
Give me a good grade.
What grade they give you?
They gave you a C.
Ooh. They gave me a D- for picking. They gave you a B-?
They gave me a nice one. So we'll start with yours.
I mean, the one that killed me was I could be probably because Dallas doesn't draft defensive tackles in the first round. Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably why. Clark Phillips is probably a little smallish. And I think they're probably going by how the Cowboys do it. So that's what probably hurt me. But I'm sorry. If I got that dude right there and you're not going to touch a defensive tackle in free agency, I'm sorry. You still need to solidify that middle, dog. And I ain't letting no 6'4", 358, 360-pound dude that can move his feet and get hella pressure. I'm not letting him slide, dog. I think he would have been gone by the 2nd round as far as that pick, and I went with this. So, that's cool. They can go ahead and give that grade. I'm cool with that. That was only my initial. I will go ahead and deal with the C.
Can't be too mad at that. Can't be too mad. And it's going to be funny if that ends up being, hey, I like this. I think they hating on Antonio Johnson a little bit. And it don't make sense. Why is he a C if he's number 32 on their board and I took him at number 30? I mean, I didn't do that because of that. And he's number 10. They just hated on me. They should have gave me an A everywhere. But Jacqueline Roy seemed like a good pick. Zach hold on. He told me how to say it. So
Charbonnet.
So Zach Charbonnet, Antonio Johnson. I mean, hey.
He was probably a reach. Antonio Johnson's probably a reach.
Maybe a little bit. I think that the Eagles wouldn't have gotten a better safety after that. And then what is this?
Your probably best pick was Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, Christian Gonzalez is a day 1 starter. Look at that. He came. Luke Van Ness went number. I don't see him going
run pick after. Yeah, I don't know if he goes that high, but that combine, if he goes to the combine, he has a good combine. That might help him.
Oh, that'll definitely help. Andre Carter's another guy that I've been really high on. Kind of surprised to see him go that high, but I like him a lot.
But he's 6'7".
Big. Yeah, that boy's big.
That's 6'7".
Wow.
My guy Deontay Banks went in the 1st. Woo. He's a dog, man. Those are my 2 guys right now. Christian Gonzalez and Deontay Banks. Those are my 2 guys.
It's crazy because offensive line didn't go until the 13th pick.
I mean, it's not really a great offense. I mean, there's some good guys now, but I haven't really seen them going crazy as far as offensive linemen this year. You know what I'm saying? I haven't been hearing the buzz about them. And how many edges went?
A lot. 1, 2.
Yeah, I told you this edge class was deep.
3. I mean, and Cansey can play both, but we won't count him. 4, 5, 6, 7 in the 1st round alone.
Edges was deep.
7 edge.
And we need an edge. We need an edge.
They got Washington going with a wide receiver. If they do that, I don't know.
Yeah, that would be dumb.
That would be dumb. They just spent a pick on a receiver last year, and he did good for them. Kalijah King, I'll say probably my biggest surprise in this is probably going to be either between Luke Van Ness going so high or Miles Murphy going so low.
Me seeing Anthony Richardson going 8th, that's kind
Yeah,
of crazy to me.
I just feel like somebody's going to reach, and that
And that
seems like
will, and I think that Will Levis is going to be a bust.
I
He's
do
going to be like
too.
Tim Couch.
I definitely think he's going to be trash. But that's why I think this is like our bet. And I'll even go this far. If the Eagles get to number 10 and Will Levis or who used to play for Penn State, but if Will Levis or Anthony Richardson are there at 10, I'm fielding calls. You guys want to come on up?
Yeah.
Let me know.
Hell
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Jets,
Mhm.
you want to come
Yep.
on up? Because
Yep.
I'm cool with this. Brian Brees is another guy I'm surprised going so low.
Yeah, I
Especially
remember when he came
behind
out of
Jordan
high
Mason.
school, he was like the ballyhoo guy coming out of high school.
Yeah.
But he had a knee
Dalton
injury, and I
Kincaid.
think that's what kind of dropped him a little bit.
Tanner McKee, I honestly
Yeah,
know nothing about him like
I don't
that.
know anything about Tanner McKee. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
I haven't heard
But
his name in many
but that's for
conversations.
that's for the Saints. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that makes sense. He's probably a good runner.
So corners, there was quite a few corners that went too. Corners, I told you, corners a good draft this year.
Yeah, how many we got? We got
I think
Devin
at least 4.
Witherspoon as the number one. You said 4?
I think
2, 3. I feel like there's no Kaylee Ringo. Obviously, I mean, I think that's kind of a foregone conclusion. Nobody thinks he's going to be a first round at this point.
nah, he's gonna drop.
Which I think is kind of crazy. I don't think he's garbage. Like, I didn't think he was the cream of the crop like everybody was making him out to
He's
be.
more of a project right now, though.
He is. He definitely is. He definitely is a project. But I'm kind of surprised so
But
low.
that size and that speed, that's a good project to work with.
Exactly. That's very true. I think he would do good at safety if I'm being real. But I
Yeah.
think that's kind of a
Might
cop out that we use.
Well, he might start out at the corner and they'll see how it goes and then flex him, see how he can work with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's used as like a cop out, like if they don't know what to do with him, we'll put him at safety. I think his body and just how he plays, I think it would make a lot of sense. So everybody in the comments, y'all let us know, give us y'all grades. What would you personally grade your draft?
Yeah. I think it's fair what they gave me a C for my first time doing it. I think that's fair. As I said before, I don't know if Cowboys jump out there with the Micah kid. It makes sense though to me. You need help in that middle still. But they probably don't go that route. Do they go a corner? I don't know if they hit a receiver that early. It may be a corner. It may be an edge guy. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what was still there for you? Is there anybody behind, like immediately behind him, that you look at and be like, damn, I should have probably took him?
They're not going to take a Zay Flowers. I like Zay Flowers a lot, but he's 5'10". Cowboys like the numbers.
I don't think there's anybody jumps off that you're like, damn, you probably should have figured that position out first. I mean, I respect it.
I don't think it was too bad in my opinion. Really?
Yeah, I respect it. I would give myself a B. I think maybe I would bump it up to a B at the most. But yeah, I mean, this is fair. I ain't mad at that. Eagles are able to figure this out. Antonio Johnson is I'm going to be honest. That was probably just a pick that I really like that kid. But I think everything else is very, very needed. And, you get younger at that position because that's what it comes down to for the Eagles this year. We're just get younger at these positions. So, I mean, that's what we're going to have to do. So we're going to do it. They're saying do another mock draft. We're going to do another one next week. We're going I'm going to
and it'll be a little bit more in depth. And plus you'll be at the combine. You're going to combine this week, right?
Yeah. So
you'll be able to get a lot more intel when you're coming back and doing this. And then actually I'll have another week to be able to look at edge guys, offensive linemen, look even deeper on the cornerback receiver type tip, because I know there's some cornerbacks in there that are probably sneaky. I know there's some receivers in there that are sneaky. But I'm satisfied. If Jalen Hyatt fell to in the second round, I'm taking him regardless. I'm taking that speed in that second round. I won't touch him in the first. Too
Everybody's
nervous.
between like a C plus B. I got an A from somebody. I'm gonna take that.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? I would pick
I don't
that.
know about the
I would
A.
take
You got
that.
an A on that first
Yeah,
pick,
I
but
don't know.
I think that was a reach on your second pick with that safety. That was a
It
reach.
probably
That
was.
was a
It
reach.
probably was. Honestly, if I'm the Eagles, and you know, I think every time we do one of these mocks, I'm probably gonna go back and like look at it and be like, I probably should have did this. I probably should have went with edge early. You know what I'm saying? Because I do think that there is a fall off as far as edge goes when you get out of the first round. So I probably should have done that and got myself a good. But I'm not too mad. I'm really not too mad. Carter or Andre Carter, I think is a second round guy, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna go.
Yeah, I
through
think
every
he's a
single
second
guy.
round guy too.
I do too. I think he's like a second round guy. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, I feel good about those drafts. I feel good just kind of our draft hats on, getting it going. But shout out to everybody in the chat. We did say, we have been saying it over time and everything. I will be out at the scouting combine next week from the 2nd to the 6th. I did get credentialed, so I'll be out there on the field with the players, talking to these guys. So we're gonna have some pretty cool stuff coming to you guys next week, and I think I'll be out there when we do our next episode. So maybe we'll have some, exclusive.
Oh
Who
yeah, let's
knows?
get
Who
some
knows?
exclusive. Let's get some exclusive.
Exclusive. You know what
Joe
I mean?
Castro on the field. You feel me?
Exactly. You know what I mean? If they got Wi-Fi at the Colts State at Lucas Oil, they never.
It's
let
not
me
the
go. I'm
greatest.
never going.
It's not the
No, it
greatest.
doesn't
It's
look
okay.
it doesn't look that nice, but I'm
It's
excited,
okay.
you
It
know,
works
so-
okay. You can work the Wi-Fi. It doesn't lag like if you're in Dallas, like the Wi-Fi is terrible. But no, if you're actually there, because they know people are trying to film and they know people are there, so the Wi-Fi is not that bad. And no, Michael, I don't think they're gonna get D-Hop.
Yeah, I don't think anybody gonna get out. It'll be. I can't wait to start.
One of the bummy teams are gonna get a
like,
D-Hop or somebody finesse somebody. But no, man, no, Dallas ain't going after no D-Hop.
Eagles fans been hitting me up about every single person that's been either a free agent or been talked about being a free. Like I've had to talk about Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Hopkins, Robert Woods, who I don't think that would be the worst pickup in the world. But either way, we can go for like a whole nother hour talking about
Right.
just the offseason stuff. But you got anything you want to say to these people before we get out of here for the week?
No, just get ready. Just make sure you keep on supporting, subscribing, liking. Joe's numbers that went crazy this past week. Make sure you keep on supporting them. We both got some things coming up. Joe's already doing his thing with the Giant thing. I'm about to jump on as well with that. I'm getting mine set up. So make sure you just stay on board. We're going to get some watch parties popping off, with the draft thing, draft shows. So we got some good things coming up, man. Some good, exciting things, good, exciting coverage coming up. So make sure you tune in for our draft coverage. What we're going to be doing over here, the best of enemies, because you're going to be able to see it from both sides, from both teams in the same division like we did last year. It was really good, and I think it'll really grow. So appreciate everybody. Love all my peoples, Miss Charles, Mel, everybody. There's so many of y'all. I just appreciate all the love and support you guys give us, and make sure y'all just keep on giving those positive vibes in the air, man, and make sure you're safe when you get out there, Joe.
Yes, sir. You already know. Yeah, we're gonna be talking throughout the week and everything. So I'm, it is what it is. But this is the time, everybody. So every Thursday, 7:00, we will be here doing these mock drafts, talking about this draft, talking about the offseason. Like he said, man, I couldn't say it any better myself. We appreciate everybody just supporting, everybody showing that love. Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, share it with your friends, do all that good stuff. But other than that, man, I know what it is, man. I am Joe, and that is James, and we are the best of enemies. Peace.
We're brothers. We're happy